The Miami Dolphins are finally catching a break, or at least it feels that way when you glance at the latest injury report. 5 names. That's it. Just 5. And considering how brutal the early stretch of this season has felt with bodies constantly in question, that's practically a miracle. It's like for the first time in weeks, you can actually exhale instead of holding your breath, waiting for the next name to drop. But it isn't just about the numbers. It's about the quality of those updates. The tone, the vibe, the sense that things are shifting. The kind of report that doesn't read like a warning label, but more like a cautious green light. The first name that jumps out, Ifeatu. Safety. Long, rangy, physical. He missed the Bills game with a calf issue, and you felt it because Buffalo went after the secondary like they knew there was a hole to poke at. But now, full participant. Not limited. Not questionable. Full. That matters. That changes how you read the matchup coming up against the Jets. Suddenly the back end feels sturdier. Suddenly the questions aren't so heavy. Then you've got the corners. Storm Duck and Jason Marshall Jr. both didn't practice. Both are on the shelf for this Jets game. And you know what? It's not exactly shocking. Mike McDaniel himself hinted that neither guy was expected to go. It's one of those cases where the injury report just confirms what your gut already knew. You move on. You adjust. You deal. The one that really makes you pause, though, is Jalen Waddle. There's always this edge of concern with him, right? The speed, the explosiveness, the way he puts his body on the line every play. It's electric, but it's also risky. His shoulder's been an issue since week 2, yet somehow he hasn't missed a single game. Limited again this week. But isn't that the story of his career so far? Playing through pain, finding a way to still produce. Every week the question lingers. How long can he keep that up? How many hits can he absorb before it really sets him back? And then, out of nowhere, Darren Waller. Limited. Not because of a setback, but because of a plan. Think about that for a second. When was the last time you saw a Dolphins tight end mentioned in the same breath as game plan ramp-up with this kind of intent? He hasn't played yet this season, but now it looks like that changes against the Jets. McDaniel called it smart management, a high-low process, calibrating exactly how much work Waller takes on without blowing the whole thing up before it even begins. If that clicks, if Waller actually steps on the field Monday night, that could be the jolt this offense didn't even realize it needed. So, yeah, you could almost smile reading through Miami's side of things. Light list, manageable names, a sense of direction. Compare that to New York's situation, and the contrast practically jumps off the page. Because while Miami's injury update feels like cautious optimism, the Jets reads more like a balancing act on the edge of chaos. Start with the quarterback, Justin Fields. Full participant in practice, yet still stuck in concussion protocol. How does that even compute? You're either cleared or you're not, right? But apparently with him, it's somewhere in between. He can do everything physically, but the final hurdle is still out of reach. And here's the kicker. If he doesn't pass that last test in time, everything changes. Everything. The Jets' whole offensive identity flips upside down. One name, one clearance, one final yes or no determines whether the Dolphins prepare for Fields or someone else entirely. How's that for uncertainty? Then there's Jarvis Brownlee Jr., brand new to the roster, freshly acquired in a trade with Tennessee. And boom, ankle injury, not practicing, not expected to play. Imagine that. You're shipped across the league. You land in New York, and before you can even carve out a role, you're already sidelined. That's brutal. Jermaine Johnson, too. Same boat, different path. Ankle injury, no practice, doubtful for Monday. That's one of their edge threats gone. One less headache for Miami's tackles to deal with. One less body chasing after Tua. You don't underestimate those absences, especially when you're staring down a Dolphins offense that thrives on timing and rhythm. And it doesn't stop there. Limited participants litter their list. Tony Adams with a hip, Keen Wangwu with a hamstring, Josh Reynolds also nursing a hamstring, and Jay Tufele down with an illness. Limited. You read that and wonder, how many of them are actually going to be at full strength when the lights hit on Monday night? Because limited can mean a lot of things. Sometimes it's precaution. Sometimes it's serious. Sometimes it's just a label slapped on to keep options open. So, when you line it all up, the Dolphins walk into this week with clarity, while the Jets are stuck in limbo. And that difference matters. It matters because every little piece of stability adds up, especially in division games, where the margins are razor thin. But let's circle back for a second, because this Dolphins report isn't just about who's playing and who isn't. It's about momentum. The bigger story here is that Miami has spent the first month of the season grinding through questions about availability. And now there's finally some relief. The kind of relief that lets you imagine a clean lineup. The kind that makes you think maybe, just maybe, this team is about to settle into its true form. Think about what Waddle means when he's on the field, even at less than 100%. Think about what Waller could unlock if he actually debuts. Think about how having Melifonwu back strengthens the defense, especially against a quarterback like Fields, who forces you to defend the entire field vertically and horizontally. These aren't small details. These are shifts. The Dolphins aren't invincible, not even close. But the picture coming out of this week's practices is one that feels different than what we've seen before. Health is trending the right way. Depth is aligning. And the sense that things are tilting, even just slightly, in Miami's favor. You can't ignore it. Now flip the script. Look at the Jets. They're dealing with uncertainty at quarterback, holes on defense, and nagging injuries to skill players. And sure, rivalry games always find a way to tighten up. Records don't matter. Reports don't matter. Division football throws all of that into a blender. But you can't shake the feeling that Miami's walking into this one with a steadier hand. So the question becomes, what do the Dolphins actually do with this advantage? Does McDaniel take Waller and unleash him immediately? Or does he ease him in with caution? Does Waddle continue to push through his shoulder? Or will this be the week the pain catches up? Does Melifonwu's return instantly solidify the secondary? Or does it take time for him to find rhythm after sitting out? These aren't hypotheticals you can brush off. These are real turning points that could swing a game, a week, maybe even a season. Because when you're talking about health, it's never just about names on a report. It's about confidence. It's about rhythm. It's about chemistry. It's about trust in the body, in the scheme, in the teammates around you. Miami's list tells a story of progress. The Jets' list tells a story of doubt. And in a league where momentum is everything, that difference is massive. So here we are. Dolphins versus Jets. Monday night. Miami with a lighter load. New York with question marks hanging over its head. And the only thing left is to see which story holds when the ball finally kicks off. And you can't help but notice the timing of it all. Week 4. The point where every season starts to reveal its truth. The first 3 weeks? They're chaos. Teams figuring themselves out, players adjusting, injuries piling up before anyone even finds their rhythm. But week 4? That's where the masks come off. That's when the identity begins to show. And isn't it interesting that this is the exact week Miami's injury luck finally leans their way?